Welcome into this segment of Behind the Pen presented by mostvaluablepodcast.com. If you want to listen to the full podcast, go to blogtalkradio.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Also, we're on iTunes, so check us out there as well. Thank you all for listening as always, and enjoy the show.
But Dave, we're going to move on into kind of part deux of this Bears conversation here on Behind the Pen. If you are on YouTube, thank you for coming in for segment numero dos. If you're on Blog Talk Radio, thank you for keep it on as we continue this Bears conversation. And now we've looked at the team. We've talked about the quarterback position, this and that, Dowell Loggins we mentioned in there. But now I want to take a look at the free agency that we have seen so far. It's only been a day of free agency as we are recording this, but already in one day, everyone coming in. I felt like in the comment section on Twitter that we were getting, there were two names that everyone was throwing out. And Mike Rankin on Behind the Pen last week even mentioned one of these names in his who should the Bears kind of target in the draft and free agency, and that was Stephon Gilmore, the cornerback from the Buffalo Bills, and A.J. Bouye, the cornerback from the Houston Texans. Well, guess what? Gilmore whiffed on the Bears. You find out after that really the Bears weren't in question. They gave their contract and did not budge.
Not
on
negotiators.
How much they wanted to give to Gilmore. He's going to go 5 years to the New England Super Bowl champions. And then you have A.J. Bouye, and this is the one that kind of, if I'm a Bears fan, it sticks with me because A.J. Bouye is going to get a contract from the Jacksonville Jaguars that's going to come out to about, it's a 5-year contract. Annually, it's going to be $13.5 million. What did the Bears want to give him? A 6-year deal that is worth $13 million. So he snubbed you for one less year and about $500,000 less.
Well, on top of that, you got to remember that Florida has no taxes down there.
No
so,
taxes.
It's going to add up to a couple million more. But still kind of ridiculous that the Bears wouldn't pony up the money. It's interesting that the 1 year difference, though, I wonder if he thinks he can get one more big contract out of his career.
Well, and
you lock a guy down?
With a contract that's 5 years, though, like 5 years, I'd be like, you know what?
He's still
Whatever.
a spring chicken.
It's one of those things.
Still a spring chicken.
To me, this kind of brings up, and this is a question that I will throw to you first, is based on these two guys alone, and then we can even throw Jeffrey in there too on top of it, how bad did the Bears miss out in free agency so far?
It's been a disappointing day as a Bears fan. I think there are a lot of potential names out there for ways to improve this team, and I feel like we missed a lot of them. A lot. But again, maybe that's a good thing because we're not going out and trying to do the Bears thing where let's go sign a bunch of over-the-hill guys, or not over-the-hill, but guys a little longer in the tooth and some more veterans and keep trying to win now. I think it could be the sign of acceptance that, hey, you know what? We don't need to go out there in free agency and spend a ton of money to load up with guys. Let's just make sure the guys we've got, we know where they're at. We know if they're going to be part of the plan for the future. And if there is the right deal out there for a younger player, let's take it.
Well, and that's the thing that, like, what I was thinking was, the first thing I thought of was, why aren't these players wanting to come to the Chicago Bears? And in Gilmore's case, I can kind of see if you have a choice between playing for the Super Bowl champions in the New England Patriots, a team that's been to the AFC title game, 6 times now in a row? It's ridiculous how many times they go to the conference title game and then even to the Super Bowl. I can see that side of it. Plus, it's one of those things where he played for Buffalo. He gets to stick it to the Buffalo Bills twice a year now, now playing in New England. But then you look at A.J. Bouye, and I'm thinking, okay, what do the Jaguars have that the Bears don't? Because really, I would think that the Bears, if you're going to say, Ricky, who's got a better chance of winning the Super Bowl this year? I would say, well, on paper, it's Jacksonville. But realistically, I'm going to say the Chicago Bears because we were talking before we were recording the podcast. It's like, how is this Jacksonville team just underperforming left and right? But this is a move, especially at Bouye, where I'm thinking he's saying, yeah, he's getting $0.5 million more with this contract. And like you said, no state tax in Florida. But another thing you could be looking at is, hey, this is a team that's loaded up on defense, especially in the draft the past few years. Let me go down there. Let me be that veteran presence to a team with a new direction, with a new guy in the front office of Tom Coughlin, who is a proven Super Bowl commodity and built the Giants into what they are, and also new head coach Doug Marrone.
Now, this is a team on the upcline. I think that I don't blame AJ Bouye for not wanting to go to the Chicago Bears, because a 6-year deal, that would probably, hopefully, cover our whole rebuild. And
on that field, though, 6 years on that field?
Ooh, that's not good for anybody.
It's not going to be good.
But no, I think I can't blame the man. I blame the Bears. I feel like, again, on one end, it's great that we're not, throwing away money on veterans, but Bouye's 25. We did go out and sign Deion Sims, the tight end from the Dolphins, 26-year-old. Okay, fine. I'm good with those guys in that near prime, just under prime age. So that's fine with me. And then Marcus Wheaton as well. So we got a couple of names, but by and large, this is still a Bears team that's incomplete and is going to need a hefty helping from the draft to fill in this roster.
Well, and another thing I think of, and this is kind of piggybacking a little bit of what we mentioned at the tail end of our last discussion I kind of threw out there with the Mike Glennon thing that, they made the signing because John Fox doesn't want to lose his job. He knows that there's a little bit of a hot seat. He can have Glennon, blah, blah, blah. You guys watched it. You guys know what I said.
Yep.
But in this case, with the penny pushing, that's what I want, or the penny pinching, I should say.
Yeah.
What I think this is more on Ryan's Pace side, where he's like, you know what? This is a town that if you make a bad move, i.e., I'm not saying it's a bad move, but I'm saying,
if it's not widely accepted.
Looking in hindsight now, Jay Cutler is not a good move. Fans are not and Tom Waddle even said it, for the rest of eternity, when Jay Cutler comes back to Chicago, you will have 50% of people, Mike Rankin being one of them, that will go to bat for the guy and defend the guy and give him all the breaks in the world. And there will be the other 50% that I kind of have myself lean on, where you're not a fan and he wasn't good enough and this and that. And the other guy, where Ryan Pace, I think, is sitting here going, I could give him this money, but would I rather, it's kind of two things. Would I rather sign him and then he ends up being a bust and I'm hearing it for the rest of that contract, probably getting fired halfway through it?
No doubt.
Or do I deal with the backlash now, continue with my plan, especially like you said, through the draft, and just deal with it now and get through it? I think that's what he's doing. I'm going to deal with it now, continue with our plan, and eventually get through it.
Yeah, I think that is the right direction to take. And, no one's ever going to agree on Cutler and his time here. But one thing that we can all say is that, it didn't go out as we all planned. We all expected the larger things out of him. And for one reason or another, it didn't work out.
I remember the day you guys got him.
Again,
Cloud 9 here in Chicago.
It's a team sport, and we did not put the best team out there, and we didn't perform when we had the right guys. So I think that there's no real hard feelings between myself and Jay, good friends that we are. But
and Baby Cutlet, don't forget
Baby Cutlet. But yeah, it was time to move on from him, and Mike Glennon is a safe bet for now, and that is fair. I don't blame this organization. I don't blame Pace. It just makes sense to take a small step forward and be like, all right, we're gonna close the door on this whole drama saga,
and we're gonna move on from it.
Go clean start, media. Don't hate me.
And the thing that I'm throwing out there, you as the Bears fan, this is why I'm throwing it out there, is using Gilmore and Bouye as the microscope. We're going to focus in on it. Do you think that, or are you confident as a Bears fan that hopefully it's going to get past this and free agents are going to go, I want to go play there. I want to go play for Chicago.
It's hard to sell a 3-13 team. And it's also hard to sell an organization that for decades has not paid top dollar for its players and not want to retain players who are fantastic by means of paying them. So we have a really bad precedent set in Chicago, and the McCaskey family, they're the legacy of the NFL in Chicago, but at the same time, they're literally just shooting ourselves, we're shooting ourselves in the foot by refusing to pay up during free agency. And, it seems like when they do, I don't know why, but it's almost as bad as Washington when we go in free agency, and it's just like, let's throw $100 million at Albert Hainsworth. That's a great idea. We haven't had anything that colossally bad fuck up, but we're not too far behind.
He'll stomp on someone's head, though.
Not too far behind that $100 million contract. It's just, I think in next year, if we win 5 games or 6 games, that God forbid, 6 games, woo! parade, Chicago.
We're now the Oakland Raiders.
We're not. Hey man, you ate those words. You ate those words. But yeah, no, I think it's an easier sell. It's right now. It's very unclear to a lot of people what the vision is for the Chicago Bears team is. So it's hard to sell the future. And we were using Jacksonville as a parallel earlier on with Tom Coughlin. We were talking about all the names they've brought in and building up that defense and building through the draft and really selling them on, hey, we're 1 to 2 pieces away from making that jump from being a bottom end team to contending every year for a playoff spot. And I truly believe that. And I believe with Coughlin in place, he's going to lead them in that direction. When I look at the Bears team, I don't know what we are. I don't know where we're going. I know the hope is to build through the draft, but at the same time, it's like, what's our core? Who is our rock on this roster, and who are we building around? I can tell you what we're missing. That's a lot of pieces. And it's hard to go in free agency and, give that buddy, all right, so you come here and we're going to win ourselves a championship. You can't say that. You can't promise anything to these guys. And if we can't pay top dollar and you can't promise a playoff contention shot, there's no motivation to come here. So it's really just take a flyer on this guy who has some upside like Mike Lennon, and we can hope for the best out of it.
Hope that he's able to get us a few more wins. It's maybe like the number I threw out, 7-9.
7-9 would be fantastic.
Even 6-10, 5-11, I think is an easier sell.
I think
than 3-13.
Oh, I completely agree, and I think that we're going to watch a lot of these guys who are going to get a lot more playing time between the rookies we're going to draft this year and the past couple of years of draft haven't been amazing for us. We know that already. But, we're going to see some more time with those guys on the field because we're not going out in free agency and getting a lot of veterans to cover up this roster.
And the thing that I think, and this is kind of going into, because right now I look at what the Bears have in free agency and what you've lost. Right now what you lost is Brian Hoyer, you lost Jeffrey, and then you lost Paulson. That's it. Those are the only 3 losses, a tight end, a wide receiver, and a quarterback. The guys you get Sims, like you mentioned, Glennon, like we've mentioned, Wheaton, like you mentioned, and then also Quentin Depps coming over from, I think, the Texans playing strong safety. But you get guys 4th season, 3 guys entering their 5th season, Depps entering his 10th season, and there's nothing sexy there. But I look at even Alshon Jeffrey. I thought the Bears' plan the whole time, and I even said this on the onside kick, was go out there, see what you're worth. And then when no one was coming with offers, or like there were offers, but it wasn't what Jeffrey really wanted. Like he wanted that $14 million that I just thought what it was going to be is, well, the market's not there like you thought it was. Guess what? Here we are. Here's the deal. You're going to come back. You're going to play for us. That's what I thought it was going to end up being. And he was just going to come back. And
you don't insult a player like that, especially when he's potentially a franchise player.
You lose out on him, and I think that's the big thing. Like, it's all the losing out that they've done. The fans wanted Gilmore. We wanted Bouye, wanted Jeffrey back. And to me, out of the 3, Bouye's the one where I go, could you just pay the man? Could you just give him, like, if I was the Bears... And the thing is, I want that extra year that ends up being less. If I was Mike Pace and it was Ryan Pace and it was really that important to me, I would say, fuck the 6th year. Here you go, 5 years. Same deal you're getting in Jacksonville.
No, I think it's absolutely reasonable. If we really want to drop the money, we have the cap money. Yeah. It's not like we're tied by salary cap right now. It just turns into a, you know what, take the offer. We're okay without you kind of a thing. Would we like to have you? Sure, but we're not going to go out of our way and extend an olive branch to you. And again, if you're not going to pay them the most money, they know they're not competing. Why would I want to come there to a franchise that's not going to make a second effort or third effort to get me there?
Well, and not just that.
Show me you want me.
These are 2 things that could have, this whole free agency period, and I know it's like, this is the day we overreact.
Yes.
Day 1 happens, we overreact in 2 ways. We either overreact this way, my team's not doing anything, we're fucking losers, blah, 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 blah. Or you overreact in the other way. Oh, dude, did you see what we got? Super Bowl champions. Kind of like what we did on the onside kick with the Giants, kind of already talking about could they be Super Bowl favorites just by adding Brandon Marshall.
Guys are out your minds.
But the 2 things that I think the Bears really miffed on that set up this free agency period
Yep.
is they from the start put the image out there that we're just going to let Jeffrey, we're not going to tender Jeffrey, we're not going to look at we're just going to release Jay Cutler. If anything, you had to play the game so that teams thought, oh, hey, I'm interested in Jay, let's work out a trade. Then you guys could have done so. I mean, look at the Browns. They traded for Brock the cock-a-doodle-doo, and then they said, we'll probably cut you. We might trade you, but we'll cut you. It's the draft picks we really wanted.
Yep.
I mean, you see a team like that, and they're wheeling and dealing, and I just look at the Bears and I go, you guys basically let the league know that why am I going to trade for these two? Because you're just going to get rid of them anyways. I'll deal with them in free agency. That, to me, set up this first day for the Bears.
It's a team without a plan, ship without a rudder, whatever you want to say about it. It's just we don't know where we're going as a franchise, and I think that's the biggest thing that hits home for us. I wouldn't even be overly mad at the misses in free agency if I didn't know that it was $500,000, whatever. I'm like, shit, start a GoFundMe. I will pay to get some talent here. Chicago wants 3-13 is not okay.
The GoFundMe for AJ Bouye.
Seriously, 3-13 isn't okay. I don't think you get another 3-13, and you should be in.
Unless you're the Browns.
Well, the Browns are. You got the Browns baggage. That's a whole. We don't got time for that. But no, I don't think John Fox is the head coach still. If we go 3-13 again, I think you got to make some sort of moves to show some improvement, show some signs of life over here as a Bears fan.
Well, let's put it this way. Look at Jeff Fisher.
Look at Jeff Fisher. Oh my God, what a dumpster.
He was one of the 2 back-to-back bad seasons. Gone. Now the Rams hired new head coach.
Well, the Rams they didn't do themselves any favors, but Jeff Fisher handled the situation so poorly. Take lessons. Take lessons from how to not be a head coach. I mean, he made every wrong move, but the thing is, we're a 3-13 team, and if we bring back the majority of these players, what does that say? Are we okay with failure? That's an absolute garbage.
I mean, let's be honest.
That's unacceptable.
Injuries did play a little bit of a part, especially with that field.
Can
I
we
blame
afford?
the field. Can we get a GoFundMe for AstroTurf?
Can we turf this? Can we dome? This is awful. We have the worst field in the NFL. I mean, Oakland plays in a freaking baseball diamond, and we have a worse field than you.
A lot more injuries, too, especially towards the end of the year.
Unsettled thoughts.
But go on what you were going to say.
It's just the fact that if I see them re-sign the same exact guys who are on this roster who contributed to that 3-13 record, I mean, yeah, sure, some of them still have room to improve. Some of them are still young guys, but I don't want that to be the culture. I don't want to get to where we're the Browns, and that's long-term failure is not okay with me. It's not okay with Chicago, and the media will murder you in Chicago for doing that. And I think that it's one of those things where, like you said, John Fox maybe just trying to do enough to keep his job. Ryan Pace just doing enough. But if they're not getting the cooperation of the organization to spend money, if they don't have a completely aligned vision, we're going to go out there, we're going to re-sign, Deontay Thompson, and we're going to re-sign C.J. Wilson, we're going to re-sign all of these guys who didn't do anything for us. Like Marquise Wilson, are we going to drag him along for another year? How many times can this guy get hurt and stay on a contract and drop balls and stay on a contract? And it's just it's a whole locker room vibe of failure is okay.
Well, and right now I am looking, and I'm looking at the cornerback position, and how we'll end this is kind of who should the Bears go after forward in this free agency? Because like I said, this is overreaction time.
And this is day one.
Has happened. Yep. There's still a lot of names out there. I'm looking at the free agency tracker on NFL.com. Do you want the top 5 available cornerbacks? Do you want their top 5 available?
Let's hear it.
At the top of the list right now is, and I think this is based off of their rank that they have. So Prince Amukamara is at the top.
Okay.
He is still unsigned. Last year was with Jacksonville. Brandon Carr, still unsigned, still out there. Nolan Carroll from Philly is still out there. Morris Claiborne from Dallas. And then you have Brandon Flowers from the Los Angeles Chargers. Technically San Diego for last year, but the LA Chargers. So there are guys still out there for the Bears to get. One that's out there that I don't think would be a bad pickup for the Bears, Captain Munnerlyn. I mean, I know him firsthand because he played on our defense this year and was a big piece this year and last year for the defense, but there are pieces out there that you can go get. One name that I can't remember if it was on Twitter or if it was in the comment section. Someone said, well, now that we lost out on this guy, on Gilmore and Bouye, do we go after Logan Ryan?
I think that's the next. You got to go next man up. And if we get too low on this, we're going to be in trouble again in that secondary. And I don't think we can afford another year like that. So, yeah, Logan Ryan, totally serviceable. I think he'd be fine. I think fit-wise, might be a minor adjustment because of our scheme, but I still would love to have him because he's a smart guy. And that's just okay. I gotta resell myself because now I'm selling myself too much on Logan Ryan, and there's a reason he wasn't the first or second
get
best.
Hyped up. Dave's gonna get hyped up.
Serviceable corner should be a good fit in our system. I think that it would be absolutely the smartest thing. It's just we need to go all in on someone. We need to go get somebody who is actually worth our money. And no offense to Mike Glenn, and no offense to Deion Sims. It's just I want someone who I can turn to at mid-year this year, at the end of the year this year, and go, man, I'm really glad we spent the money on him in free agency. He's really paid his dues for year one. Totally happy. And I don't know that we've got a guy like that yet.
The one thing I kind of fear is if the Bears do kind of what seems to be a Chicago move. We see it in basketball a little bit more, but like in the cornerback position, I see the name Darrelle Revis on there, and it's like, let's overpay for this old guy. Let's overpay for this old guy.
But he lost 20 pounds since the end of the year.
Yeah.
He's getting back in shape.
I just fear that is the Chicago move. But before we wrap this up, we weren't going to talk about this in full, but I want to ask you about it anyways and just get your quick hit thoughts.
Of course.
If you were to say right now where Jay Cutler plays next season, what jersey is he in? What
Jets.
jersey is he in? You think he's in a Jet jersey?
I think he's in a Jets jersey. I think it's still the most likely spot. Even with his boy B. Marsh gone.
Well, he can't go to the Giants.
He ain't going to the Giants.
3 Leet Manning is not gonna get up
I
that
think
spot.
it's Jets, or if somehow Houston loses out on the Romo lottery, he could be a good fit in Texas.
Is it funny how the Jets have just turned into, hey, NFC North, you giving up a quarterback?
There's a team that drafted quarterbacks, though, but they don't like a single one of them.
No.
They've got I think they had 5 quarterbacks on their roster last year. Don't like any one of them.
Not Christian Hackenberg. It just shows what they think of him after drafting him, last year?
Like, literally, I think in the last 5 years, they've drafted quarterbacks like
Geno
4 out
Smith.
of 5.
They brought in Fitzpatrick, overpaid him for that.
I mean, it's a really, really sad time. So even if you do draft a quarterback every year, there's your warning sign.
That you could be.
Yep. You could
the
still
New
be
York
wrong.
Jets.
But at least they had some guys to try. But they kept going back to Fitzpatrick. Oh my God, no.
This is where you guys come in, though. Let us know. Really, Bears fans, what did you think? What do you think about Gilmore and Bouye saying no to you guys going to Jacksonville, going to New England? And really, I want to know some names that you guys are looking into.
Who do you want?
That's the thing that I want to know. Who do you guys want the Bears to target as free agency continues here after day 1 in the NFL?
Thank you guys for sticking around for this segment of Behind the Pen. If you want more most valuable podcast content, click on the video up above, because I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep listening to our voices every day. But again, guys, thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate you.